Vanguard boxes in Warhammer are a great value for players as they provide a ton of models to build and paint. However, they are an expensive endeavor to pursue, so let's take a look at their value to ensure that it's a good way for new players to join the world of Warhammer. Real quick, let's define what we're talking about here. In Age of Sigmar, we have vanguards, which are collections of units. However, in 40k, those are called combat patrols, but you might also see them called start collecting boxes, which are mostly discontinued. And there's even things like army sets that might come with a battletome or codex for the faction that you are building. All of these things are boxed sets and generally give very good value depending on what's inside of them. So some boxes are going to come with more than others. They'll be more expensive, but others might not even be in production anymore, and you might have to find them online on Amazon or another retailer. Generally, bundles with multiple units are great value, but one area that I cannot speak to because of my inexperience with the game is the actual gameplay of the units. So some boxes may contain units that don't actually see a lot of play within the game of Warhammer, and one area you can find out more information before making your purchase final is by checking out your faction's subreddit to see if there's any opinions on the actual boxed set. So with all of that said, let's just take a look at the type of value that you can get from the various vanguards and combat patrols. First, let's talk about the Lumineth Realm Lord Vanguard, which is what I personally purchased and am very happy with. So when you buy this box, it's going to cost you $170 on the Games Workshop website, and this is going to get you a bunch of different units. So let's take a look at the price of those units individually. The Venari Blade Lords are going to be $75. The Cenari Cathalar would be $40. The Venari Orlan Wardens would be $75, and the Sentinels would be $75. The total cost of buying these units individually is $265, and the Vanguard represents a cost savings of $95. So obviously a ton of value there if you want to use all of these units, and these are all good units for the Lumineth Realm Lord faction. Next up, we can talk about Night Haunt. When you buy a Night Haunt Vanguard, you're going to get one Knight of Shrouds, which is part of an Ethereal Court box for $100. So let's put that at $33 by itself. Then there are 10 Grimghast Reapers for $65 individually. And then if you bought 2 packs of Chain Rasps, that would be $110 and $38 for 3 Spirit Hosts. So again, the total cost of buying everything in this box individually is $280. So the Vanguard gets you a savings of $110, which is pretty fantastic. Let's head on over to 40k to talk about Adeptus Mechanicus, and the boxes there are a little bit more expensive. If you buy a combat patrol, it's $190, but when we break that down into its individual components, we have a Tech, Priest, and Jasir, which is $45, an Onager Dunecrawler for $100, and then Cataphren Destroyers for $75, and Rangers for $65, which is $285 total individually, and a cost savings of $95. Are you seeing a trend here? Finally, we'll do one more 40k example with the Chaos Space Marines. Box is $190, but if you were to buy them individually, you would have the Dark Apostle and his 2 Dark Disciples for $50, the Hellbrute for $75, 5 Havocs for $75, and 10 Chaos Space Marines for $80. So buying those all together would be $280, but the Vanguard represents a cost savings of $90. Obviously, the financial value is there, but there are a few other things that you should consider before picking up a Vanguard or equivalent. For example, if you're planning on being frugal in Warhammer, then you really want to be certain that the box that you're going to buy is the box that's for you. I recommend waiting on your decision for an entire week if that's a reasonable thing for you to do. Now, if product's going to be out of stock and you need to make a decision quicker, then I still recommend waiting for at least 24 hours, because while you might find a good deal, you don't want to build and paint an entire box of units that you're not falling in love with. The rule of cool is the biggest thing here. You have to be into what you're buying. So make sure you wait on it so that you decide that you actually do want it after some time has passed. You might also be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of models that you'll have to build and paint when you buy a combat patrol or a vanguard. Now, this hasn't been a problem for me. I've just been spreading it out a little bit each day and taking a break here and there, but I do see people online talking about their piles of shame, which is their big pile of models they haven't built or painted, and they keep on adding to it. So that it can be a very stressful position to be in, especially when more stuff comes up that you'd rather buy and build. I I've also seen multiple Redditors give the advice to buy single units instead of buying the group box. While this might be more expensive in the long run, it means that you can focus on a single project at a time and reduce the amount of stress that you're feeling about doing this task. That also has the added benefit of your army being as personalized as possible, as you have picked every single unit within it. However, as we've seen illustrated earlier in this video, you are missing out on almost $100 in savings by doing it that way. At the end of the day, a vanguard or a combat patrol or any boxed bundle is going to be the best way to get into Warhammer on a budget. And if you're only into building and painting, then all the better, because the competitive value of those units might not be a deal breaker for you. However, if you are intending on playing the game, then make sure you do your research before you buy your box. With all of that said, I hope this video was useful for you, and if it was, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, all that supportive stuff that I very much appreciate. And otherwise, I'll catch you all soon enough in another video.